And during that time, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you had kind of figured out how to get in, like in through the ducts of Carver-Hawkeye Arena. You kind of figured out the guts of Carver, right? I mean, how to get around and sneak around in there.
Yeah, so there was this sort of electrical panel in the back near the loading dock that you could just climb through, and I was always a little nervous about trying myself, but I never did. And so yeah, I'd get in there, and once you're in, and so and then I would get up into the wrestling office and I'd be able to hang out there, and then so the neat thing was they had drop ceilings, and you could lock the doors, but you could just pop the tiles out of the ceiling and go over the walls, and so I'd do that, I'd like just move around, get in places, and then I'd get into Gable's office, and like he had letters on his little refrigerator, and it's like leave up messages, just kind of mess with him, and he used to keep little snacks, so there are a couple times I'd like have some of his cookies or whatever, and then I decided pretty quickly, like, that's no fun. Because it's not strange at all to find your cookies missing. Now, what's really strange is if you find different cookies. So I started bringing cookies, and like he'd have like a little thing of Chips Ahoy or something, and it'd be like happy. I think he rewarded himself with like one cookie at a time. Don't get me wrong, like he wasn't like a cookie fiend or anything. But I take his Chips Ahoy and replace it with a half-empty thing of Oreos instead, now that's going to confuse him, like somebody took my cookies, no problem. Wait a second, how do, like Gable's such a, straightforward thinker, he'd be like, so, but yes, like Carver-Hawkeye was my playground, and I was a fairly delinquent sort of person, so I just went all over the place.
So with that in mind, tell me about the time that Metallica came to Iowa City, to Carver-Hawkeye Arena.
Yeah, so, yeah, I have to say, as some of these things I do sort of wonder about myself, it's like, well, that was kind of theft of services or something like that, but I just wasn't really worried about that sort of thing at 20 years old or whatever. So, so again, it was like Metallica coming to Carver-Hawkeye, as far as I was concerned, was like Metallica coming to my house. It's like, this is where I live, this is my place, and all right, so they're my guests, I'll, to meet them. And so I'm rooting around, and I was up, this is one of these times where I'm just exploring the place, and I found this locker upstairs that had T-shirts that said staff on them. I went, oh, well, okay, that seemed like a really useful thing to have, so I'm going to have one of these, and then, Metallica shows up, and I was like, I think I have a plan here, so I showed up and, acted, just like act like you belong there sort of thing, and next thing, and I had a jacket, so I tied the jacket around my waist, and I had the staff shirt on. Then I went out on the floor, and then pulled the jacket on over the staff shirt, listened to Metallica, and so, oh God, I can't believe I did this in some ways, but so yeah, this was 92 or so, and I really didn't like their newer stuff at that point. I was like more of an 80s Metallica type, and so when they got to the end of the concert, they were playing the newer things. I went, I think it's time to get backstage, and so. I started heading back, and I had an idea of what room that they would be in, the reception room. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just going to talk my way past everything, act like you belong there. And And so I did. I just walked in, and I was probably within 15 feet of that room. I thought I was going to get through the door. And this fellow, who, now, fortunately, I was not, this was just after I got there. So I was not well known, because after I'd been there a while, anybody would have recognized me immediately. But, you know, I went up, and the guy steps up to me and says, "Excuse me, can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm with grounds crew." And he goes, "Yeah, I don't think so. I run grounds crew. Who are you?" And I went, "Oh, all right, excuse me." And I turned around, and I started away, and he said, "Hey," and I ran really, really fast. And I was a fast runner. And he goes, "Hey, somebody stop that guy." But by the time people were even turning around, I was down the hall, around the corner, and headed for the back door at, nobody was catching me. And then so one of the things that had always struck me was criminals are really stupid, and they do things in a half-assed way. If you're going to run, just keep running. Do it really hard. And so I ran out the back, down across the street, down to the railroad tracks, and about a mile down the railroad tracks before I stopped. I was like, "Yeah, they're not catching me. Like, no way. Like that, nah. Yeah, like, I'm out of here." And then the next day I shaved my head, cut my, shaved everything, and decided I needed a new appearance. They were trying to figure out who I was. But, that's one of the disappointments to me about Iowa wrestling since then. Is you have these guys hunting rabbits in Iowa City or things like this, and they get caught. What's wrong with you? You're an elite athlete. You can't outrun the Iowa City police? Are you serious? Just go. I mean, if you're gonna do this, take some pride in it. Don't be a slob. Get away with it. So anyway, yeah. I see these things come up once in a while. I'm like, how did you get caught, dude? Come on. So anyway, yeah. So that's my somewhat shameful, life of crime.